He's also been collecting and growing rare cactus and other fruits on his small farm north of Escondido for the last 30 years. So without further ado, Mr. Dennis Sharmahd, thank you so much.
All right. Thanks a lot. You got me? Yeah. You got me? You can see me?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
All right.
You gotcha.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so anyway, you got my introduction, but I'm yeah, just been hunting for rare fruits for a long time, doing different slideshows for different rare fruit growers and different farmer meetings and things like that. So yeah, so I just put together this one, some of the more rare fruits of Mexico, and there's a lot of them. This is no way a complete list, and I know a lot of people think of like mangoes or Mexican fruits, and they've been growing there since the Spanish showed up, 500 years ago probably. So they're pretty, pretty big part of the fruit growing, in Mexico is a really ideal climate, very similar to India, where they're from. That's why they're called Mangofera indica. But I'm going to get into a little more of the native fruits of Mexico, and started with a lot of cactus and things like that, and then I've been traveling to Oaxaca and Veracruz and some other areas in the mountains looking for other fruits. So yeah, so anyway, this first picture is me standing by one of my jelly palms, which is not a Mexican fruit, but it's one of my signature edible landscape plants that I put in people's front yards a lot of times, and went to Brazil 3 times actually trying to find better ones, but the best ones I found were just on the other side of town. And it turned out from all the research and books and joining the Palm Society and all that, figured out it was a woolly jelly palm called Butia eriospatha. And you can tell by the flower spathe, the pods that pop open, that all the flowers fly out of. Though on the outer side, it's got this suede leather fuzz up to it, and hence the name. And those tend to be the more choice species. They're larger, less fiber, and with really good flavors. A lot of fruit punch, mango, tropical flavors, pineapple predominantly. So anyway, we can go to the next slide. Get into the. So this is probably one of the most known fruits from Mexico is the white zapote. And there's a number of varieties. There's a gentleman that planted a collection down here probably 50 years ago, and there was over about 40 varieties. I think some have been lost now, but this particular one, I'm trying to still get some bud when I graft it, but it had kind of a russeted skin, and it was really, really caramely sweet. I'm calling it this one creme brulee, because it's just super, super caramely, super sweet. And the white zapote grows all over in the mountains of Mexico, and then down into Guatemala. And in Guatemala, some people call it mate sano. It's also used as medicine. The leaves and the branches are cooked in tea for amoebic dysentery and malaria, dengue type things, some of the stomach parasites. So it's a medicinal fruit, and also known to be a sleepy fruit. Has a little bit of a possibly CBD or some kind of sedative properties to actually the fruit and the skin. And then the seeds are kind of toxic, and they're kind of big. You wouldn't want to eat them. But anyway, it's a super delicious fruit. A lot of times people think they're too sweet or too good or too messy or make too many fruits. They're almost kind of like too good. But if you get a really good one, it's worth it. And you kind of finally break down and decide to plant a giant tree. And I saw some big trees. There used to be in Fallbrook. There was George Emmerich was one of the first rare fruit growers back with Paul Thompson. And he had a number of giant trees, and some of the trees were claimed to people have got a ton of fruit off one tree throughout a number of months, picking season. So they can be really, really productive. Yeah, anyway, I'll go to the next slide. So this is one of the this is a really rare purple passion fruit from Veracruz, and has a really super red inside and just a really beautiful dark purple skin to it. And there's just a number of different passion fruits. This was just a really unusual one. Yeah, go to the next one. This is called a delicious black raspberry, and it's a incredible large fruit, growing way up about 11,000 feet up on Orizaba Mountain, is like the largest mountain in Mexico, and it's like continually snow-capped mountain, and this is just a few thousand feet below the snow line. So it's in a really high, cool area, and really awesome plant. It has it's spineless, and it has a clustering quality to it, so it doesn't vine and spread. It just kind of makes it like a sprawling bush. And I believe the next picture shows the flowers and the fruit. You can see it looks like a primitive rose, and of course a lot of the raspberries and strawberries and things are all in the rose family, so that's why the flower looks like a rose. Yeah, it's Rus trilobata, and I'm propagating that now. I have a few plants and trying to get more seeds and stuff to grow more. All right, go to the next. This is a wild huckleberry from up in Veracruz Mountain. This is from more like 7,000 to 8,000 feet, not quite as high as the black raspberry. And these are a vaccinum, so they're related to huckleberries from Oregon and blueberries from the East Coast and whatnot. And there's pretty much all over the world, there's some kind of huckleberry or blueberry, different types of vaccinums and whatnot. I've seen them down in Brazil and other mountains in Mexico, and there's a lot of different species, and they all tend to be pretty good and pretty sweet when they're really ripe. This one had kind of a nice red calyx, and was just growing in these pine forests and kind of between some pine trees. Yeah, go to the next, I guess. This is the nonce or nonche, and this is a fruit that's related to your acerola cherry. It's in the Malpighiaceae family. They're really pretty little pink flowers. And anyway, this one, a lot of people, when they first tried it, a lot of people don't like it. A lot of local people have eaten it since they're a kid and really love it. But the trick is you really have to get them very ripe, right off the tree, and eat them really fresh. And they have kind of a creamy like yellow cherry flavor. Tastes a little bit like a cherry milkshake. And then if you pick them and leave them in a bag for half a day, they develop a very funky, like a bad cheese flavor to them. So they're so they're a little tricky. You have to get them really, really fresh right off the tree. And then I guess some people, acquire taste for the more fermented, cheesy ones. But anyway, those are kind of a cool fruit. Move along to the avocados. So there's a lot of the avocados are native to Mexico, especially all the little black type avocados, your criollo and the mexicolas, your topas, pueblas, Jim bacons, things like that. A lot of those are all native to Mexico. You go into Guatemala, you get more of the bumpy, like Haas types, and bigger ones like the Reed and Nabal. And then, the West Indies and whatnot, you get the watery ones that are much less fat. This is like a little Pueblo type that's from Santa Cruz. I'm not sure what part of Mexico this is from, but this one has a unique, like very creamy flavor, and not so much like sweet like a lot of the Mexicolas tend to have that licoricey kind of sweet flavor. These ones had a much more creamy flavor. So I'm just calling this one Burgundy because it has kind of a burgundy little dots on them. All right. Yeah, this is a another little land race one that I found in a little town called Orizaba, and these were called Machuteco, and that's what they're called. It's some little town, I guess, near that area. But they're like the smallest avocados I've ever seen, probably the smallest avocados in the world. You can see my finger in the avocados. It was just basically, a lot of them were just like a large olive. So they're really, really small. Possibly the most cold hardy avocado, or one of the most hardy ones. A lot of these Mexican types are very cold hardy, and they're also very drought tolerant. There's an old grove up in Valley Center that burned down like 15 years ago, and they resprouted. And I guess a lot of them were actually seedlings anyway. There was actually a big collection of all these Mexican types for rootstocks and just for a collection, I guess the guy was doing on purpose, it turned out. And they resprouted, and they been growing for like over 15 years, and they still produce. It's kind of a unique spot on a north slope, and there is a grove above that's maybe feeding groundwater or something, but fairly, dry zone. But the trees are really hardy, and they actually are, producing with no supplemental water. So pretty exciting that you could have like a drought tolerant avocado tree. And then I've seen them up in Northern California and places that are really cold. Some of them can take it down to 15 degrees, maybe even less. There's one called Aravipa, from Arizona. That's a very cold hardy one. So there's different ones they've been growing in Texas. Some cold hardy varieties from nurseries out there have collections. So I've been kind of collecting different ones. Just as a novelty kind of, and they're kind of fun to eat. They're not like you're going to make a giant bowl of guacamole with them, but they're almost like an olive or whatnot. And a lot of the black types, like the Mexicola, you can eat the skin. And then also traditionally they use the leaves, they're in the laurel family related to bay. So they use the leaves in like soups and also like in bean dishes and things like that. So the Mexican type are used for a seasoning. The leaves, where the Guatemalan ones don't have the flavor and they're considered kind of toxic. And then the West Indian, I'm not sure. I don't think those don't have any flavor either. They're really more watery. So yeah. So anyway, so the Mexican avocados are kind of cool, and there are a lot of them. Were used here as rootstocks. As a hardier, tougher rootstock for originally like the Fuerte, and then there was even the Pueblo was like a big black Fuerte. And there's still a few trees around. I'm trying to preserve those. But those were, there were a lot of those were used originally, some of the original rootstocks. So sometimes like there'll be a fire or a tree will die or get cut down, and then the rootstock will shoot up, and you'll get different Mexican avocados sprouting up. And a lot of them can be kind of stringy and not super good flavor. But I'll pretty much eat any kind of avocado. They all have kind of a different flavors that are kind of nice. All right, we'll go to the next one. Okay, we're going into the Guamucho. This is a legume tree, and see it looks like a like a bean, and they're also known as Manila tamarind. So it's a sweet flavor. It's kind of like basically in between mesquite and like an ice cream bean. So they're from like dry tropical areas, and they, a lot of locals like to eat them. They're a little bit astringent actually when they're fresh, but if you dry them, if you pull them out and actually dry the flesh, the stringency goes away, and then they're kind of a nice little sweet fruit. And it's kind of like a tamarind, but not so sour. It's really more just sweet. Yeah, they're kind of a nice tree. They're thorny. they need a lot of heat. They should do really good in Riverside. There's some old trees now here in Escondido that are starting to produce pretty good. If they're, really, they need a lot of sun and hot conditions. So I've seen them out in the desert and then in central Baja and down into southern Baja. You see a lot of them. So yeah, Walmichel or Physilobium dulcis. And then this is the red variety that's a little more rare, quite a bit more rare. And they have more flavor. And then, like I said, my friend in southern Baja, he dries them and then eats them as a dried fruit. And they're pretty tasty. They're kind of chewy, and there's not a lot to them, but they're kind of nice when you're in the zone where they grow. It's kind of a nice little treat to have. I think someone mentioned theirs flowered and didn't set any fruit, so that can happen for quite a few years. I've seen a lot of trees like just flowering and then without setting fruit, but there's some, like I said, somebody has a big tree here in Escondido that's like in a real kind of dry yard, very, very exposed, very full sun conditions, and produced quite a few pods this year. So can happen. It just takes a while. They're kind of a large tree, and they take a while to mature and get big enough to really start setting fruit. And they probably appreciate summer water more than like winter water. So I think if you water them good in the summertime, when it's really hot, when they're trying to set fruit, early summer, that would probably be helping them to make fruit. All right, moving right along. Oh, this is your Chico sapote, or sometimes known as sapodilla. This is also a tree, that they score the bark like you would a rubber tree, and they get the latex out, and that's what they use to make chiclets gum. That's why it's called chiclets, from the chiclete tree. And I don't know if they really use any of the fruit in the gum. I don't think so. I think they use other flavors, but anyway, that's one of the things that they use it for. And then the fruit, when they're really ripe, they have a really nice kind of applesauce flavor. Probably a lot of people have tried them, maybe they haven't. They're pretty agreeable. Most people really like them when they're, if you get a nice big one and they're real ripe. And there's some old trees. There's like Exotica Nursery has an old tree that's producing, a few other people. They're kind of very slow in Southern California. They take a long time to mature and start setting fruit. And then the fruit can be kind of smaller here than you would in the tropics. But I've had some good ones that were grown here, and they can't happen. They just take a long time, and they seem to be able to tolerate a little bit of frost. So they're not super ultra tropical, but they are, but not like a durian or mangosteen that's like impossible to grow here. Like you can possibly grow him. They're just not a real quick, easy growing tree. You got to really have a lot of patience with them. But anyway, let's see. I guess the next one, yeah. So this is the sweet passion fruit called granadilla in Spanish. In Hawaii, they call them eggshell because they have kind of a firm shell to them. It's Passiflora ligularis. They're kind of a mid elevation, kind of a higher elevation fruit. So they grow like in Hawaii up in the mountains, and also in Costa Rica and Mexico, kind of in higher elevations where like cherimoyas would grow. So they kind of like that Goldilocks zone where it's not cold and not hot. So they're a little tricky. They do better on the coast here, but my friend Ben up in Valley Center had a big vine that he grew, started under an avocado tree. So it was kind of shaded at first, and then finally got up in the top of the avocado and started fruiting. And that's kind of their style with a lot of passion fruits, is they grow, in the shade at first and get up into the canopy, and then they start flowering and fruiting. The trick with these is they don't drop like the purple passion fruit. So you do have to have them within range to be able to pick them, or have a picking pole, or be able to get to them, because they'll just hang on the tree and kind of get overripe. And the birds or whatever will eat them. But they have a really nice flavor. they're real sweet, a little bit more like a cherimoya almost, like they're not sour like a regular passion fruit. So that's why they call them the sweet granadillo. So real nice fruit, little tricky to grow in hot, dry climates, but like I said, in avocado grower under trees, that is, that you can be grown, but they're definitely more easy to grow on the coast. We have moderate climates. All right, go to the next one. This is one of the ice cream beans. There's over 300 species of ice cream beans. I've seen little ones from southern Brazil that were only like 2 inches long, super little ones, way down where it gets kind of this latitude where they have like a winter and they get some like cold. So real kind of like a mild subtropical climate, all the way up into Costa Rica, where there's one called guabu that's or machete that are like pretty much 3 feet long and just giant like a big machete. So there's like a big range in them. This one's Inuquil, that's from Oaxaca in that area, and it's one of the ones that it has there's like another one called the True Edgeless, is very cylindrical and very long, also about 2.5 feet long, and like the Edgeless, this one has a real floral, very juicy, sweet flesh, and so it's a very choice one that's collected and grown for shading coffee, and also then they sell it in the market, because there's a number of wild ones you see in Mexico that are kind of smaller and they're more fibrous, not quite as good a quality. So this one has a really good quality, really nice, juicy, floral, sweet flesh, the Inuquil from the mountains of Oaxaca. Okay, I'm going to go into some of the cactus from Mexico. This is a pretty common one you'll see is the blueberry cactus, and this is from mainland Mexico. This one's called Myrtillocactus geometrosans, scientific name. Locally, they call them garambullo, and they make little blueberry fruits. And then some of these, the geometrosans particularly, will make multi-cluster fruits. I think I have some other pictures, but they have a nice fragrant flower in the morning, and then they shoot up. In just about 35 days after they flower really quick, like a jaboticaba, they will set fruit and ripen the fruit. So the geometrons are nice because they'll make these multi-cluster fruits, and so you can get, like, I've counted up to 9 fruits per cluster. So they just go off a bunch at once, where some of the other varieties more kind of everbearing, and they just make like 1 or 2 fruits per little spur. I have another one. Yeah, so this is showing a little close up of how when they get ripe, they go kind of purple. And there's not like glochids there's not spines like you get on prickly pears, but there is some little teeny spines, but like some other pitayas, when they're ripe, they just kind of fall off, and it's not even an issue. Like, I've eaten a lot of them, never got any spines in my tongue or noticed them. But yeah, as you see that one, I think that's almost has like 9 or something, or quite a few. So some of the selections I found of this one are multi-clustered. So they're really productive. They're small, but they're have a lot of color, and you can just pick a pick a handful of them and put them in to a big drink, and it'll color it really well, like a fruit punch or something. Makes a really nice coloring and flavor. Yeah, just like that many. So yeah, and they're really good fresh, and then you can dry them, and they're like a dried blueberry, a dried raisin. They sell them like in mainland Mexico, dried a lot of times. And then this is the other species, Myrtillocactus cochal, and this one grows down just below, it starts growing about just about 10 miles south of Ensenada. So really close to Southern California. So it's almost like a native fruit, like in the same bioregion, San Diego anyway. And this one is more thorny, but this one I collected has kind of a blonde spine that I found a long time ago, and it's more everbearing. It'll just make 1 or 2 fruits, but they keep fruiting throughout the season. throughout the year, pretty much. There's just short period of time where you may not find them, but they're pretty much most of the year. They just keep flowering. If they get water, get a little bit of water, they'll flower. They get, so like now it's raining and they're going to flower again. And then if you water them during the summer, which you should a little bit, they're kind of used to, I think, the fog drip on the coast there. They grow really close to the coast in northern Baja. So they get, some winter rains, and also like they'll get, like we're getting now, some unusual late tropical storms I've seen in northern Baja. So and like we're kind of getting this year in San Diego. We've gotten like 3 storms now in the last month. So a lot of things like this are triggered with things like that. The late summer rains, freak monsoon rains that come up. And then again, like I said, like the fog drip in the spring and summer, and then winter rains. Go to the next one. This is a Mexican fence post. These ones are, they're, people grow them, you see them in people's yards. They're kind of expensive, a little hard to get. And they're a little tricky to, they take a while to start producing fruit. And then their fruits, they flower really quick, and they ripen really soon in the springtime or early summer, where a lot of the pitayas are kind of more later in the season. So these ones like eluded me for a while, but I finally figured them out and caught them when they're blooming and fruiting. So you can see it's called Pachyceres marginatus or Lumericeres. They keep changing all the scientific names, but you can see it just kind of fruits right along the edge of the margins of the cactus, and really productive and real tasty. The seeds are kind of big, but they're not hard like a prickly pear. They're more soft like dragon fruit seeds, so they just crunch. I think there's a picture of a close-up one. And you can see they're kind of like large black seeds, but they're kind of like sesame seeds. They're soft. It's not bad at all. This one I'm calling plum cactus, or it's a Mexican red pitaya, the Lumericeres prunosa. This one's from a little bit of elevation, so it does a lot better here than, for instance, the pitaya dulce, which is the one, like the Oregon pipe cactus. That one tends to need a lot of summer heat, really heat dependent, where these ones, not so much. They like it warm, but they don't need like low desert heat. These do fine in Escondido area, produce a lot more and just easier to grow, faster growing. Again, I don't know if I think it's another picture. But anyway, these pitayas, they sell them there's some different species they sell in the Mexican markets. And they look really spiny, but when they're really, really ripe, you can get a stick and just knock off. And the spines are kind of like the clusters you'll see on the plant. There's just these clusters of spines, and they all fall off, and there's no little glochids like you get on the prickly pears that are just really hard to get rid of them all. These ones are pretty easy to dethorn once they're ripe. And then some of the kind of smaller ones, I'm calling this one raspberry cactus, because the fruits are about the size of a raspberry. These are a little more closer related to the blueberry, the garambullo. So they'll hybridize with the garambullo. So this one is, oh yeah, someone's asking where I can get these. Yeah, I can get you some of these different varieties. Right? These are some of the ones I sell cuttings of and I brought before. So this one is yeah, this one's it's it's like basically like a little pitaya too. You could call it a pitayita, I guess if you want. But basically like a large raspberry. So pretty good. Pelasgia chichipi for some reason is the name. And then and so then I'm kind of playing around, with like the whole pluot thing and the hybrids. But I found some rare hybrids of these. So I'm calling this one plumberry. And this is basically the red pitaya crossed with a raspberry. So it's so what's kind of nice is it's bigger than the raspberry, but way more productive than the pitaya. So it's got that hybrid vigor. So it's kind of fun. They're kind of rare, not too many available, but somebody really wanted them, I could get them. And then actually I just found a new one too. That's the a blueberry crossed with the raspberry, and it's I'm calling that one boysenberry cactus because like the boysenberry, it's a raspberry hybrid, and that one's bigger than the blueberry, but then like kind of just in between those. So it's got more flavor. It's kind of got like a nice like sweet tart like boysenberries, because some of the blueberries can be kind of little like just really sweet, so not as much flavor pop. So yeah, it's kind of fun finding new varieties, new hybrids. It's kind of endless too with like dragon fruits and things. Okay, going into some of the Baja stuff too. This is a little physalis too. It's like a tomatillo relative or a goldenberry relative, like you see in Peru that are sweet. So this particular one is Physalis crassifolia, and so it's got a real fuzzy leaf like the Peruvianus, the Physalis peruvianus. So it's not as tart as like the tomatillos. This one's kind of sweeter. They're real small, but they have a nice flavor. And there's 5 or 6 probably species in Baja. And the Solanaceae are really tricky. A lot of hybridization, a lot of variation. Really hard to nail down. The species and whatnot. There's a lot of different ones, but this one I believe is the crassifolia. Found it really close to a creek and some water, and they're just growing right in the wet sand by rocks, where some of the sour ones are more up in the hills where it's drier. So yeah, this is the wild plum from southern Baja, and it's like the hog plums or the ciruelas they call them. This is an unusual one from down there, and it has a really unusual flavor like buttered popcorn, really weird, and it only grows in southern Baja, so it's pretty cool. Yeah. Then this is what I'm calling the wild Baja black sapote. So like black sapotes or Diospirus, and this is relative of that. And what happened with Baja is a lot of things were in the tropics. Baja and everything was further down in the tropics, and then Baja kind of broke off and then moved north, and so then a lot of these fruits kind of got smaller and got adapted to the more desert tropics. So but this one's like sweeter than a black sapote and very similar to the Texas persimmon, which is persimmons are more orange, really. I think of more orange Diospirus fruits as persimmons. This is definitely much more like a black sapote but sweeter, so kind of nice, real slow growing. Someone asked about the plum. The plum is not a prunus. It's related to ciruelas or the hog plums, like the spondeus and whatnot. It's actually, its Latin name is Cridocarpus edulis, if you're trying to look it up. Okay, there's couple more maybe. And this is kind of a new find. I've been going out for like 30 years, and just last couple of years, friend kind of tipped me off, and then we went and found these. I'm calling them the desert honey persimmon. So again, this is like much more like a persimmon, Diospirus intricata, and this has the calyxes like on Fuyus are more like 4 and 5 on the calyx. This one has 3 little leaves on the calyx, so that's why it's called intricata. But just super honey sweet, really small, definitely seeds in them, but really hardy, growing in these little sand washes, and I'm sure the roots go way down to tap into moisture. And they're just they're little bushes. They look like a jojoba bush, and they just get loaded with fruits, just hundreds and hundreds of little fruits, and just super sweet, but really tricky to grow, hard to germinate, very slow growing. So not an easy fruit to grow at all, but could be something in a collection or a botanical garden, or somebody might be able to pull it off. And they're definitely dioecious, so you get like male and female, so you need a number of different trees for pollination. The black sapote type ones, the Californica, I think they can be a hermaphrodite, They could be dioecious also, but they tend to be more hermaphrodite. Where these ones are definitely dioecious. I just saw a lot of bushes that had no fruit and like dried, male flowers, and then a lot of them. The female ones obviously were loaded with fruit. So kind of cool new find to kind of growing just east of La Paz in the mountains there, in the hills, actually not too far from the coast on the Gulf side. And that, I don't know, that might be it. I'm not sure. Oh, I got a few more things. Oh yeah, so then we got the wolfberries, which are basically very closely related to your goji berries. And there's 13 species at least in Baja, and there's 80, 90 species worldwide. What's cool about the Baja ones that I found, some of the best ones I found were in Mulegé, and then actually on the West Coast, right around the same, about a third of the way down the coast. And again, these are really hard to nail down. Probably Andersonii or Californica. There's, like I said, 13 species, so a little tricky, and they could hybridize, and there could be like a lot of variation. But I found a couple really good ones, and pretty good size. You can see my hand there. I mean, they get decent like a regular goji berry. And what's nice is they're sweeter. They don't have a bitter aftertaste. They don't get mildew. They don't sucker, and they're super drought tolerant. They can actually just go drought deciduous. I went back to one area. I found some good ones in there. The bushes look dead, but then if you scratch in the stems, they're totally green inside. And when it rains, they just flush out a bunch of flowers and fruits. So they're it's really, really hardy plant, super drought tolerant, and then and just mildew resistant too. So kind of a nice little fruit if you want a berry bush. They can get pretty large. Eventually they get like a big giant, like a tumbleweed on steroids or something. but yeah, kind of cool, little rare fruit. And then got some there's like 4 to 7 species of passion fruit actually at Baja. And this is one called Arida. And again, super drought tolerant. I've seen them, this one and another one called Pomeroy that has a white flower. I've seen them growing just in these sandy, rocky areas, and like other trees and bushes were being like drought deciduous or just super dormant. And these can be like flowering and fruiting, just really hardy, really deep rooted, I guess. And they also have a resin and a fine hairs on the leaves that protect it from the sun. And then they have a really small little fruit that's like the granadilla. It's very sweet and kind of tutti fruity without a lot of acid. I think there's a picture of the fruit maybe. There's a picture of the fruit forming, and they have this protective like netting that goes around that attracts like little insects will get stuck to it. It's like really resonant, sticky. So it keeps creatures from messing with it. And then I think there's a picture of the right fruit. Yeah, there's the right fruit. And they're not very big. They're just like a quail egg size, I guess. So kind of small, but kind of fun. You can just grow them. They'll fruit in just like a 1 gallon pot, a 1 or 2 gallon pot. And just you can put them near your cactus and things like that. And there's some just kind of naturalizing growing in the Fullerton Arboretum. So they do really well around here. They do really good, I think, in Riverside. And they seem to be able to take a little bit of frost, and they're just really beautiful flowers. And they're hardy. They can take a little bit of cold, but they're so fast. They're very precocious. If you start them really early in the season, they'll produce fruit the first year. So they're and then you could put them like in a greenhouse. They're really small. They won't like take over your greenhouse like a purple passion fruit would. So yeah, kind of nice little exotic fruit from southern Baja. And this is just a sampling of some of the there's tons of other fruits. There's there's other black sapotes, other big black sapotes, and yellow sapotes down there, and there's a lot of other fruits. I just kind of was some of the ones that I've came across, and some a little bit unusual ones. Hopefully some that you probably haven't seen, or some of those are pretty rare. So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much my thing. Here's my info if you want to get a hold of me, and then yeah, then I guess we can open up to questions and stuff. about it for that.
Thanks so much, Dennis. That was
Yeah.
great. Yeah, there was a question back earlier about your cactus and your hybridization and everything. What is the tastiest cactus in your opinion?
The tastiest, well, the sweetest one probably is the Selena. It's a Selena series. I'm almost convinced, but it's like the yellow dragon fruit. But there's one called Frankie's Red that Frankie found somewhere. I think it was somewhere in South America. But that's probably the sweetest one is the Frankie's Red. They call it a dragon fruit, but it's a Selena series like the yellow one. And then the ones I had on probably the one I'm calling boysenberry cactus has a lot of flavor. But I also have a Bolivian purple pitaya, Cirrus camarapanus, is a really good flavor. It has a big fragrant flower. So yeah, it's hard to nail down, but there's quite a few different ones that are really sweet, really good.
That's really awesome. Hey, I wanted to ask you a question. Do you do any hybridization of your own species? Do you do any kind of like seed splicing and anything?
A little bit, but I mainly just kind of I've been finding them at other cactus growers. I've been finding like they grow out a bunch of seedlings, and so I've been like just selecting out the ones from some other big wholesale cactus growers that just kind of had the natural hybrids happening. So I've been doing more selecting things, but I did some cross pollination with some Trichocereus varieties and things like that. I did some really unusual ones with Pasacana and Peruvianus and things like that. So I've been doing a little bit of that, but a lot of like just kind of growing things out and like selective breeding of things, and been doing some stuff with pineapple guavas and the jelly palms and things like that. Yeah.
There's a question in the chat box, one from Hector. Do you have the boysenberry and the Frankie's Red?
I can get the boysenberry. I don't have many of the Frankie's Red really available, but there's some other dragon fruit growers. I'm sure have that. I'm not sure. Maybe in LA, there's a LA passion fruit growers group. I'm sure there's some people up there that have that one. It's kind of really slow growing, so I don't really have many of those at all. Just have, yeah.
I have a bunch of it. I have a big tree of it. If anyone
Oh,
wants
nice.
it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then have you been collecting specific varieties of Petunia that has superior quality fruit, or any other Luther Burbank?
Oh yeah,
varieties?
Oh wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Puntias.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a friend of mine that has he has about 50 varieties. He got a bunch from the government collection, but he's been collecting from other people. But I've got a really good one that's a hybrid of the large Megalanthus crossed with the red one, the Ficus indica, and I'm calling it Pink Apple. And it's really good flavor, really sweet and firm and crunchy, and just really nice flavor. They get a lot of cochineal and bug problems, so I'm not doing a lot with those anymore. They kind of been phasing out, but I've been keeping a few really rare ones like that are super sweet, tasty. Jane? Yeah, Jane.
Yeah, what kind of fertilizing and watering should I have a blueberry cactus that I just kind of like put in the ground. It's didn't die, but it's not doing anything. In order to get it to fruit, I mean, like they say dragon fruit, I finally figured out you can't treat it like a cactus, you have to treat it like a fruiting plant. What kind of care should I give?
Yeah, I just do like a slow release, just your organic compost and things like that. Not a lot. Not you don't want to do too much fertilizer because they can grow too fast and crack and get root rot and problems. So they just are kind of slow. They take a little while, so you gotta have a little patience. They're a little slow. And the blueberries especially are really slow to root, especially when it's cool. They take forever to root. But I've had them sitting in a pot or just sitting as a cutting, and they flower and fruit with no roots for a long time. Like I've had them for months and months. So they're tough, you know, they don't just shrivel up and die real quick, but they're slow. They really want to do the cuttings in early summer when it's warm, and let them callus really for a long time, for weeks, and then plant them. But they're real slow to root for sure, and just to get going. But once they get going, they start flowering and fruiting pretty well, and they grow good. To like just water and fertilize them in the summer mostly. They don't really do much growth at all when it's cool.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
For the white sapote, I don't know if you had the Sue Bell on there, but we
No,
have a-
that's one. The picture was this rare one I'm calling creme brulee, but I don't have any available yet. I'm just still trying to propagate that one.
what is your recommended cure schedule for a sapote here in the Inland Empire?
I'm sure. Sorry, what? A cure?
What
What's the
is your recommended cure protocol here in the Inland Empire? I think I'm cutting off.
No, I'm sorry. I don't understand your question.
Like the care, like
The care. I
fertilizing.
think cure. I think you were saying cures. Oh, the care. Yeah. Again, like a lot of the Mexican fruits are monsoonal, so like they really like a lot of summer water, and then not so much in the winter. They let them kind of go dormant, and then just winter rains and stuff. So I really try and push them and fertilize them a lot in the summer, and then they'll be happy and they'll do their thing better. And during the winter, I usually get some rain and it's cooler and moist. So that's what I do. And organic fertilizers and prune them like at first when they're young. Prune them so they don't get too tall, too quick and leggy. You want to like make sure they branch out and get good like branch structure when they're small. And certain varieties like Sue Bell, the grafted Sue Bells are naturally bushy and kind of like a shorter, a little bit more of a dwarf type tree from what I've seen. But there's some seedlings that get really big. But if they're grafted Sue Bells, those stay kind of smaller. But but I would just fertilize and water them a lot in the summer to get them really pushed when it's growing. And try and put them into a place where they can get deep rooted, deeper soils. They appreciate for sure. But
Thank you for the advice.
Sure. Yeah.
Buddy, did you have a question?
Yeah, I got is there a difference between, I don't even know if I'm saying it right, a sapota and a sapodilla? You ever hear of that?
Yes. Sapodillas are like your Chico sapote, like I had a picture of.
Well, I have one
Yeah.
that tastes like bananas.
Yeah, well, that's probably your white sapote.
Okay, I lost the name tag on it.
Yeah. That's a white sapote.
And then I have an
Casamorola.
Adelanto. You've heard of that?
I have heard of that. I don't know. I don't think I've ever tried them. But
It's real sweet, but it
Nice.
hasn't, I don't know, maybe it doesn't like the desert or something. It hasn't really bloomed yet.
Oh, you had them from somewhere else? Where were they fruiting before? The ones you tried?
No, they were they were a small tree when I got them, and I ordered them and then planted them. But they're doing good. They're nice and green. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just get bigger.
takes time.
Yeah, it just takes a while to get bigger. They can be a little slow at first.
I noticed that they have a hard time when it's really humid and it's hot.
Uh-huh.
It like cooks the leaves like
Huh.
everything else.
Right. Yeah,
So-
yeah. Like I said, when
But-
it's hot, they like deep watering. I don't know.
Right. And I keep them under the umbrella of a big old tree and they love it there. Because they're
Yeah,
not
but
direct heat.
they do really eventually want to be in full sun for sure.
Yeah.
They're tough. They're a tough tree, but they take a little while to get going sometimes.
Yeah,
Especially
I'll
those-
move it out.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Got a question here.
I
Dennis.
have a.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dennis.
Hector, go ahead.
That was it.
Oh, I have a barrel cactus that does little pitayas. However, I'm not sure how to promote fruiting or flowering when fruiting because I get one or two a year. I don't know
Yeah.
what I'm-
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're again like real slow, but they might just want a little more water when they're flowering. You might try and water them or give them a little bit of liquid fertilizer or something when they're
What kind of
watering.
fertilizer do you recommend?
I really like organics because they're slow released and don't like shock the plants, because some of the chemical fertilizers can be like too strong and you can get cracking and stuff available.
Do you recommend kelp by any chance?
Yeah,
Those are
kelp. Yeah,
toxic.
kelp would be good. Kelp, but I do like you could do like a compost tea or I just like putting compost around them and then water it in. So I would
Okay.
that's what I would do. Try and fertilize them a little bit and water them when they're flowering, and then maybe they'll set more. And did it make a lot of flowers?
About a dozen or so.
But then they didn't set.
Then set.
Right. Yeah, I think just try and water and fertilize them when they're flowering, and that'll help
Okay.
them set more fruit.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dennis, there's a question. Do you have Choconostle? Xoconostle.
Oh yeah, no, I don't have that one. There's a woman. There's a Mexican woman at the Vista Farmers Market that grows that one, though, and she also grows guavas and persimmons and succulents. I forget her name, but she grows those. I've never got a cutting, but those are kind of cool. That's a prickly pear, a puntia tuna that was kind of used, I believe, as a lime substitute before limes made it to Mexico. There was no citrus, so they use that and with guacamole or salsas as a kind of a lime flavor, because it's a tart. It's a really sour, even when fully ripe, prickly pear. So yeah, but I don't have those growing. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Have you been finding any nice apple cactus cultivars? Heard a rumor there's a big breeding program in Israel that might be creating a bunch of excellent fruit.
Oh yeah. I've just selected ones that I found here and there. There's a lot of variation. But like I said, I'm really big on the Bolivian purple cactus apple, the Ceres camarapanus, that has a lot of flavor. Like the dragon fruit, the ones that are purple or red inside tend to have a lot more flavor and sweeter, especially once they crack open and get really ripe. So so I have those, and then I have some other just selections I found. Some of the ones that are the monstrose cresta type that are like naturally dwarfed, but those tend to be like sweeter fruit. They can be a little smaller, but they're more productive, and they have a better flavor of the Pruvianus type I'm talking about.
Okay. And then,
Hey, Dennis, how did you get into this obsession?
Oh, right. Well, I think it just goes really back to when I was a little kid, because my dad actually was a chemist when he first came to San Diego, and there was a problem with all this. They had a tuna cannery and they had all this fish waste, and he developed the fish emulsion fertilizer and to bottle it to chemically stabilize it with acids and whatnot, pH balance it, and so he was experimenting with that, and so we had a big yard in Lemon Grove, where like the Dr. White cherimoya is from. There's a sapote from there. And so we had sapotes, and I grew up eating sapotes and pomegranates and persimmons and figs and pineapple guavas, strawberry guavas, like a lot of different like little rare fruits as a kid. So then I just wanted to get my own land and start growing more stuff. So I was, I'm sure very affected when I was just a little kid. And then I studied botany and organic farming in college, and then just got into starting to grow and collect fruits. So yeah, I'm sure it was my childhood in Lemon Grove, eating rare fruits in an edible landscape.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. I was gonna ask you about the black sapotes. Where do you find the wild ones? Do they grow in California at all? And do you have any?
Those little ones that I had a picture of, those are from this one canyon down in southern Baja. and that's why it's called Diospyros californica. And it's the same genus as persimmons and also the black sapote. So it's basically like a little black sapote. And the Latin name Diospyros means fruit of the gods. So it's kind of cool. It's like the California fruit of the gods. That's really a lot better. But it's a real, really slow growing. I have some that are over 10 years old and they're only like 2 feet tall. But I need to just put some in the ground somewhere. I've been babying them in pots and stuff, bonsaiing them, I guess. But I need to just put them in the ground somewhere where they're deep rooted. But they seem to have a little bit of cold hardiness. In Southern Baja, actually, it's right on the Tropic Cancer, but some of those canyons, because it's like some mountains right above there, they do occasionally get some frost, like a freak frost there, sometimes during cold spells. So a lot of things there have a little bit of cold hardiness.
How long can you leave them in the pots?
Not very long. They seem to hate it and die. They have a really long taproot. They should be like they should be in like tall pots and things like that.
Yeah, okay.
Or just direct seed in the ground, probably, and then just like protect them with a cage. That'd probably be the way to do it. Because they seem to get like the roots get tangled in pots and stuff.
Yeah, I need to plant them.
Yeah. They're real, they really don't like being in pots.
Okay.
Oh, you got some growing? That's cool.
Yeah, I got them in 15-gallon pots.
Okay, right.
But I don't want the roots to go to a circle.
Yeah, I know. I think in the wild, I think both those are, that one and that desert one, I think their roots go really, really deep.
Yeah.
I'm sure they go down. Because a mesquite tree supposedly go down like 100 feet or more. Yeah. But those persimmons, I bet you go down like 50 or something.
Yeah.
But that's their survival thing, is to go down, get down that deep sand, the alluvial sand, and get into like moisture.
Yeah.
Ground moisture way down in there, So that's their strategy for sure. They have really extreme taproots. So that's a challenge to grow them in pots.
Yeah, they've done really good so far. So I'm going to get them in the ground.
Yeah, I try and get them in the ground for sure.
But I use a lot more perlite in there, so they get good drainage.
Yeah, right. Because where they're growing there, it's pretty alluvial and very like DG, just really of a rocky, sandy soil.
Right.
So they really like the drainage for sure. I think I've killed a few of them with having too rich a soil, just a normal potting soil.
Yeah, I like the number 3 perlite.
Oh, right. More like a cactus.
That's really good.
Yeah, right. For sure. That's what they know.
There's a question here about the wolfberries. Does it have any more flavor or sweetness than the goji berries?
Yeah, I believe so. The ones I found in central Baja, they're like, I don't know if they're really sweeter, but they don't have the bitter aftertaste where the fresh goji berries are kind of good, but then they have this like weird weedy aftertaste where the Baja ones are just like, they don't have that bad aftertaste. They're just sweet, but they definitely have a sweet tartness to them. But I was pretty impressed when they're really ripe. They do really well. Really good flavor. Yeah. Fair enough. That's it for the questions?
I'm just going back through the list here, making sure I didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
Well, Dennis, I'm going to give you a number to a friend of mine. She grows exotic cactuses. She got like 5 greenhouses. It's probably 1,000 cactuses in her.
Oh, what? Is he select any for fruit or what?
Well, she tries to find the rarest cactuses that she can find and propagate them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me think of the best one. Supposedly the world have yet to try them, but I've seen some plants that are starting to flower. Is the Neocardentia hertzogiana. There's actually 2 large trees at the Jerupa Center, but I don't think they're self-fertile. And the guy there said just one of them has been flowering. But they're giant. They're kind of like a saguaro of Argentina.
Wow.
They're big, giant fruit, but it's supposed to taste like kiwis and strawberries. Supposed to be like the best cactus fruit in the world.
Yeah, she would like that.
According to yeah, and there's some you can get those. I can get plants of those, and they're around. There's some people have them. Some cactus growers grow those.
Oh, cool.
There's some people in Europe. I think there's people in Europe that have seeds or getting seeds from the Canary Islands and things. But I mean, they're native to Argentina, but
Yeah.
there's some cactus growers in the Canary Islands and I believe southern Spain and Europe that are growing a lot of rare stuff.
Wow.
So some of the cactus, wholesale cactus growers here like trade seedlings with some people there and whatnot. So
Cool.
they're available. There's some available. They're pretty rare, but I'm really hoping to get some. I saw some out in this cactus nursery out in Borrego Springs, and you could tell they were fruiting and flowering, but I was there too late. They probably fruit in the middle of summer when it's 120 degrees out or whatever. But and then like I said, there's one. The one is flowering at Drupa, and there's another one really large. So I don't know. This might have been the first year they fruited. Who knows? But like I said, a lot of those things like to get a bunch of water, like a monsoon or like a freak big rain or watering in the summertime when they're flowering, and that can like trigger them to set more fruit. Because a lot of these things are survivalists. So if it's dry and they flower, they don't want to set fruit. They don't want to like risk it. But if they get like rain and stuff, they'll have enough moisture.
Happy.
It'll trigger them, to like set more fruit and more flowers.
Nice.
So so some of these things, if you can water them, or unless we luck out and get a tropical rain or something.
Yeah.
Break rains kind of.
There's a question here, Dennis. Have you ever grafted any rare cactus onto a more vigorous rootstock to propagate and share material quicker?
Oh, right. Yeah, I've tried that a little bit. I haven't done too much with that. That's that is a technique, but I think it's a little bit abused. A lot of people do that too much, and they're doing I think you really want to have things on their own roots and just get them, wait for them to get going. But the thing is, a lot of times people have little seedlings that are like in a kind of a rich mix to get, they're moist so they sprout. And then a lot of times people start getting rot because the mix is too rich. So then they'll to save them, they'll graft them onto Perescias and things to get them growing bigger, and then they'll degraft them to get them on their roots. So you can't save things and push things, but I think it's better if you can just have them on their own roots. But it's a thing. I just haven't done it that much. But I've got some seedlings that they start dying, I might try and save them. I might try and end up resorting to that. But ideally, I think things grow pretty good on their own roots, and then they have their own juices. Because like the grafting can be a little bit like too much chemical fertilizer. They can push them too fast, and you can get rot and insect and disease problems from them growing too fast and weak. So it can be good, but it could be actually bad for the cactus if they pushes them too fast. But it's just a technique I haven't really used that much.
One last question on here. Have you ever had a Dendrocereus nudiflorus? I'm sure I butchered that one, but it's in the chat box if you need to read it.
Oh, did it have another name? That's it. I think I've heard of it, but I don't remember trying that one. Sounds interesting. I've heard of a number of unusual ones from South America. There's so many different species, but I have not tried that one, but it sounds interesting. There's a lot of really random ones. It's tricky because to find the seeds and to get them. And a lot of the cactus growers, I always ask them like, which ones are really good for fruit? And a lot of them just are growing them for ornamental purposes. They're not really trying to grow fruits or even research them. So a lot of them just don't even know which ones have fruits. They just like, oh, some of the workers eat those ones, or what I mean? They just kind of like figure it out, but it's not their focus. So a lot of the cactus growers, where it's not, they just usually kind of don't even know that some of them could have good fruits, and then sometimes they're just trying to save the fruits for seeds just to grow more. And they're not, it's not like they're, but I've lucked out and found a couple cool hybrids and selections, different species, and figured out, like that Bolivian purple one, I figured out what it was, because a lot of the growers were just calling it Casa Grande. They didn't even know the species name, and so I was researching online and I was trying to, well, I first just had an atlas of South America because I knew it was from South America somewhere. So I was trying to find like a town called Casa Grande in South America, and there was no towns. So I just looked up purple pitaya Casa Grande. It showed this giant cactus in some cactus guy's yard in Casa Grande, Arizona. And they're like, oh, that's Cirrus camarapanus. And then I did some research, and that it matched up. It was one of the 3 purple flesh cirrus out of like 80 species from South America. So that's how I was able to figure out the name of it. But that was like the best ones, because there's like Forbicii and Childesii are the other 2 purple ones. The Forbicii is purple and in like good size, but really flat flavor. Unfortunately, like hardly any flavor, like not sweet, no flavor. Where the camarapanus is like way better flavor, and then the flowers are giant, pink and white, and really fragrant at night. Because a lot of cactus people are like, oh, they're fragrant and blah blah blah, but a lot of them are not that fragrant. But that one is really really fragrant, really nice, super fragrant.
Jeremy elaborated on the name I butchered, nudiflorus. He said it's a endangered giant tree cactus with a massive trunk and downward hanging branches from Cuba.
Oh, from Cuba. Oh yeah, I think I've seen pictures. I think it's isn't that kind of like an Opuntia or something, like a giant Opuntia looking thing?
Opuntias would be not edible, right?
No, that's all the prickly pears are Opuntias.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, but there's other rare species from the Caribbean and stuff that are really large, like tree-like. But I guess I don't know. Is that one supposed to be good or not? Right. Oh, it's more. Oh yeah, there are some cirrus types in the Caribbean too. There are a few rare ones. I think there's one in Florida even. That's true. Some of those go up in there. Yeah, some of those are endangered species. They're hard to really get seeds or cuttings or anything from them. But sounds good. Could be good. Probably is.
Hey, Dennis, I got one more question. How do you know
Okay.
when sapotas are ripe?
Usually they start dropping like a lot of avocados, because some of them don't really turn yellow. A lot of them will turn yellow. Some of the green ones that stay green, they do actually lighten up. They kind of change. The green gets a little yellow green, so that you'll see like a color change, or then they'll just start dropping if they're yellow, because sometimes they're yellow for a while before they're ready and then they drop.
Okay.
But if they're yellow, they're usually pretty close to being ready. But you'll notice a subtle color change.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so just look for a little change of color, and then you can just pick one and let it ripen avocado and see if they're good yet.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
But they usually kind of get smoother skin, and like a color change, and then they'll just kind of start dropping. And you'll notice the ones that drop and how they have a little bit different look to them.
Okay.
But
Thanks.
it varies for sure, because some don't get that yellow. Some, like pike and some of the other ones, stay pretty green skin. Yeah, I hope to have more variety, more grafted varieties of some of the different ones I'm finding and selecting. There's a lot of different really good ones, and it depends where you're at. Like some people like up north don't like Subel, but down here people like Subel, and there's different ones that grow in northern Cal and here that probably respond to the different climates better. So a lot of times it depends where you're at, which the varieties do better. And then also it just depends on how sweet your tooth is or whatever, because sometimes, a lot of them are too sweet. Like for some people, Subels are almost too sweet, where some of the other ones have more of a coconut creamy, custardy flavors and not overly sweet. But then some of the large ones, if they're too much water and stuff like Medill and stuff, can be kind of mild and a little bit too watery for some people. So just kind of depends on your taste and the conditions, growing conditions and climate and whatnot. But yeah, if you get a really good one, they're pretty amazing. It could be really, really creamy and super nice flavor.
That's all the questions in the chat box, Dennis.
Okay,
So,
cool. Right on. Well, thanks, man, for everybody hanging in there.
yeah, Dennis, thanks so much. Thank you very much for all that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everyone's gonna have a great time down there at the field trip this weekend. And if
Yeah.
you guys are interested, email Christine. It's Jamaica Rose. She put it in the chat box. If you're interested, maybe we could potentially do a second one either on the 16th or the 23rd. Yeah, so thanks again, Dennis, and we'll
Yeah.
post the link and all that
Okay.
good stuff. So,
All right, man. Sounds good, man.
all right, thanks so much.
All right. See you, man. See you, Jeremy. All right, everybody. Cool. All right.
Thank
Peace
you
out,
so
man.
much, Dennis.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Good night.
Woohoo. Yeah, yeah. Right on. All right, man. Peace out. See you.
See you, buddy.
Thanks.
Take care.
And then if you guys have any other comments or questions, feel free to shoot away.
One thing I wanted to mention, the elections, the yearly elections are coming up in October. So if you'd like a chance to join us as far as the board, and if you'd like to, take up a position on the board to help us, do what we do with this volunteer organization, it's very rewarding. It's been a lot of knowledge that we give away, and it's not very expensive. I know everything's expensive these days. You kind of like, constantly having to deal with that. So it's just something where we can like learn a lot, and we just want to help. Like what I want to do is just help people to grow, right? Help people to recognize different species of different things, know what they can grow, know what they can't, know how to grow it better. And we all have challenges. I've failed before in my garden doing things that I wasn't, I wasn't necessarily should have done, but you learn from it and you get better, and you just keep going. So if there's any of you that would like to join the board for reasons of just kind of paying it forward and helping people out, it's a great way to do that. So if you get the time, we have fun. But other than that, I think are there any other announcements we need to make? I think Christine covered it at the beginning. Yeah.
So hi, this is Lisa. Wanted to ask Jeremy. I found out that he's up in Northern California. Are you part of this Redwood group chapter? And do you know if the Festival of Fruit may be possibly planned for next year? The Festival of Fruit, for all of our guests, is an annual meeting where all the chapters converge, and we just have a weekend or 3 or 4 days worth of speakers and lots of education, lots of fruit tasting, and just foodies getting together, and growers and people breeding the plant.